Okay, today we're here with Mike Myers, the pastor of Beautiful Feet Ministries. Where are we at today?
We're at the Fort Worth Water Gardens, downtown Fort Worth.
And what's so significant about this place? What's significant?
This is where Beautiful Feet really got its birthplace. And Farrah Fawcett and I have something in common, where Farrah got her first movie debut here, and I got my first ministry debut here. She had the movie, her first movie, Logan's Run, and I got to knock off the ants of my first street guy out here, and then bring the gospel to them in a creative way. It's like, with donuts and coffee and stuff, we would go around and see people all out here in these gardens, and every Sunday morning for at least 3 years we'd be out here sharing the gospel with them on Sundays.
What year was that? What year did it start?
That was 1981.
Okay, and then since then it's led to what you have now on Hattie Street. Do you ever come back down here and do any services?
Not that much. Down here, sometime we'll bring groups that are out of state, and we'll show them the birthplace of Beautiful Feet, where we got started, how we got started. But for the most part, now all the homeless know where to get picked up, and so we pick them up and bring them into our place.
What made you start this? Just go out? I mean, was it a calling from God? And if it was, how did you receive that calling?
At that time, the city of Fort Worth, the police, didn't really have a strong curfew on the park, and they would let a lot of the homeless just kind of hang out, and many of them would sleep in the park. And at that time it was pretty lenient, so a lot of homeless found this kind of a refuge place to come and get in the shade and get holed up and feel protected. And so pretty soon it became a kind of a laundering place for the homeless. And so we capitalized on that in the sense of finding a need and meeting that need.
You use the word we a lot. Who was we?
Well, I'd say about 40 people. A lot of them were, in the early days, were singles, some newly married, but majority of them were singles from Southwestern Seminary, where we had all come together to be a part of the ministry in some area of the world. And during this time we were in training, we were in theological training to define our place of ministry. We've now grown to where we need more people handling some of the groups that are coming in, doing more with them, helping out with projects, and also helping take folks out on the streets for evangelistic outreach, is what we call E-teams. And the people that I'm anticipating hiring are people that have been there on the streets or been in prison and have had some experience among the people that we're trying to reach out to. And so one of the things we would like to do in order to do that is to increase our financial base so that we can hire guys that have come, that have been incarcerated, or they've been on the streets, or they've had ministerial experience to minister, but they need the love of Christ brought to them in a practical way. And so Beautiful Feet takes the fear out of that by taking food, taking clothes, taking stuff that people need, ordinary stuff that people need, and breaking it down and sharing the gospel in the midst of that. This is where it all started. As I was saying, old Farrah Fawcett made a movie. If you watch that sci-fi film, a lot of people were sitting all out here, some of her characters and stuff that were co-stars and stuff. But then, early Sunday morning, we'd get out here and we'd have to do a big Jesus cheer because all these trees would be filled with blackbirds. And so what we would do, we'd come out here, and one of the first things we'd do, we'd start setting up a food type thing. We would start setting up food, and what we would do is we would give out apples, sandwiches, and Dunkin' Donuts, and coffee. And we'd have a feed line, and everybody start loving on people, sharing with people, and just making them feel at home in their own gardens. And then, as I said, there would be these birds, blackbirds and cackles, all in these trees. And so we'd start our service every morning with a big Jesus cheer. We'd say, "Give me a J!" And everybody would go, "J!" And then we'd say, "Give me an E!" And we'd do that, and all of a sudden, by the time everybody said Jesus real loud, boom, the birds would just take off. But we would have everybody kind of sitting all out here, all out in here, and we would have service, and we would preach from right here, and we would have guitars and we would have a song service. We would have some praise and worship, encourage them, and all the people were feeling love. Several of the students and several of our helpers would just be sitting by people that needed help and love, and they would feel loved. And then we would go into a praise service, and then we would go into preaching God's word. Sometimes we'd do drama and skits. Sometimes we'd act out things, but every time we would have some kind of message from the word for the people.
Hey, we never thought we'd be over here on Hattie Street, but we started in the Fort Worth Water Gardens, where the Lord just kind of gave us a heartbeat for going out and touching homeless folks. And everywhere that we kind of started going, we just started getting the vision of touching people with the gospel of Jesus Christ. We got the name Beautiful Feet from a scripture in the Bible where Romans 10, 14, and 15, Paul writes it. He says, "How beautiful on the mountains are the feet of those who bring good news." And that's what Beautiful Feet's about. In a nutshell, we take people the gospel, the good news. In 1985, we came over here and started leasing a building, and before you know it, we had the whole thing. So come on inside, we'll take you around and show you some of the things that happens in the feet. There we go. All right, we'll go up here. This sanctuary was built in 1929. So what you got here is a 1929 special. And when we moved in, there was all kinds of pigeons in here. We chased the pigeons out and put the people in. So every Sunday, we've been running a bus ministry, and we've been having folks come in and have church here, feet style. The way that kind of happens with us here at Beautiful Feet is at 6:30, we'll have prayer together, and all our servant teams kind of meet together. You might serve on clothes, you might serve in food, you might serve with a breakfast and a lunch, you might serve with greeting, you might serve with just greeting people and sharing with people. Some people work with the children, some work with the youth, some work with the adults, and some drive buses and vans picking up folks. It's quite a thing. But we meet at 6:30 in the morning and pray together. Then we split out into our servant teams. And on Sunday morning, this is a hopping spot. It's a great spot to shine the light of Christ, preach the gospel, and feed some hungry folks and clothe some needy folks. And so every day, this is kind of where it cranks up and jumps up. We also, we just believe in preaching the gospel straight out where the people are. And so one of the things that we do is many times we just present the gospel and just share with everything that everybody and everything, and just believe that everybody has a shot at God's throne, because he tells us to come boldly before the throne of God in our time of need. And we believe that everybody is the same level at the foot of the cross. What about the dining hall? Check it out too? Okay.
We'll get that.
Yeah. Okay. Right in here is our notorious kitchen. And this is where Beautiful Feet prepares most of its meals. We'll have a meal every day, for the most part, except for maybe a few holidays throughout the year. But we try to serve a breakfast and a lunch. Right before breakfast, we have a Bible study. Right before lunch, we have a preaching time. And so right out of here, we serve meals, a lot of meals Monday through Sunday. Sunday, we do a hot cooked breakfast. Monday through Saturday, we usually do a Starbucks muffin combo. And then on Wednesday nights, we kind of break in a teaching and a kind of a meal here. And then also some Friday nights, we'll do outdoor blitzes or movie nights. We'll kind of prepare a meal here. This is a great place where people can come and get a free meal and learn about the Lord. This is a Beautiful Feet boot camp dorm. This place was given to us by a man who couldn't get his sleep. He couldn't sleep at night. And so he came over to our office one time and said, you know what? I'm throwing these keys down on the desk. I'm walking out of here. That building is y'all's now. It belongs to Beautiful Feet. And I'm going to get my sleep back. You hear me, God? And he walks out. Since that time, we've been in a renovation mode. So we've taken several volunteers and several church groups and several people that had a vision for helping Beautiful Feet accomplish some of its goals. One of those goals was to have a boot camp over here where we could have people come for a week or a weekend or a day and do missions here in Fort Worth at Beautiful Feet Ministries. And so that is being accomplished right now. The upstairs has already been revamped and remodeled. The downstairs is also in progress of being fully finished, where we can put bodies over here for the glory of God and touch homeless and touch folks for missions and evangelism and outreach sake. And so this is where we are on the construction stage of it. We, you know, all we lack is some sheetrock, some plumbing. So we're going to drop a ceiling in here. And so this is the Beautiful Feet boot camp. This is a house that was belonged to Hubert and Jackie Holland. And Hubert and Jackie would sit on their front porch, and Hubert was handicapped. We would have street reaches over there at this liquor store, at this corner store, and every time we would have one, we'd have a hot dog cookout. And old Hubert would be over there with his mouth salivating for a chili dog or a hot dog. And so sure enough, we'd run him one over there. I'd have some youth or somebody run him over there. And Hubert later on retired. Jackie wanted to move into an apartment. I got tired of mowing this here yard. They said, Mike, come on over. Y'all can have our property for a price. And we weren't ready for it at that time, but we sat down at the negotiating table, not having any money in the bank, but by the time the deal closed, we had $30,000 and bought the property. Come on in. This right here is the men's, what you would call in layman's terms, Sunday school class. So this is our youth hangout, where we would hang out on Sundays. Their youth class would have it be right in here. So pretty cool. Two of the women's, this is the female variety of Bible study from the Feet Expression. We went through a committee here. It's called the Donated Committee. It's called, what color are you going to paint that? The Donated color. We've come a long way, baby, haven't we? This is a neat thing that God did here at Angel Park. We call this Angel Park. We named it after a lady named Angel Oswood. And Angel came to Beautiful Feet, and she stayed about 3 or 4 years working with Beautiful Feet. She went to Southwestern Seminary, and she became a missionary to Nigeria. And she's like the only white-skinned person in her village. They call her peeled skin. And anyway, Angel, it meant so much to our children's ministry, we named this park after her, and we call it Angel Park. But neat kind of thing of how the Lord brought about getting the park. The back of this property belonged to this house, so when we bought the house, we got the backyard right here, and where you see the swing sets and stuff and the jungle gym thing. But beyond that, we didn't own that at all. It belonged to a guy in our neighborhood, and he had let it go down, and all the people around that drank would know this little big tree as the drinking tree. They'd come and lay out and just drink and throw their bottles up on a cart. Some of them make it, some of them miss. And it was just a big eyesore in the neighborhood, and everybody knew it as the drinking tree. Well, our kids were bunched up because the building's so squished up here near the front. We didn't have any place and room to run. But we thought about this property being a great place for one day our kids to roam on. A pilot came in with one of the visiting churches one Sunday morning, and he said, hey, I'm an airline pilot, and I put some money back for you guys, and I thought maybe y'all might have a special project you could have this go to. And I says, I'm glad you said that. Matter of fact, there is. We've been looking to maybe purchase some property behind us for a kids' park. In fact, here's the guy's name and his number of the owner of this property. So instead of donating a sum of money, which I still don't know to this day what it was. He took the guy's name and number, calls him up, sets a dinner date with him, takes him out to dinner, wins him to Christ, buys his property, and gives it to Beautiful Feet. And over there in that far corner, there's a prayer bench. And that's in honor of Sabrina Banks, who was 2 weeks shy of her 17th birthday and went to be with the Lord. She died of cancer just here a year ago. All right, let me give you a card. She's a beautiful girl, and everybody loved her. Of everybody in her family to go, of anybody in her family that was ready to go, she was it. She was the one ready to go. If anybody else had had that cancer at 17, she wouldn't be preaching a joy sermon.
This is probably my favorite story right here, okay? And she tells her story better than I do. But some years ago, this lady right here was, well, on the streets for 6 or 7, 8 years. But one day, she was upstairs here in the room, laying on the bench, and I took a picture of her on the bench. At the same time, we laid down, sat down, and began to pray with her. Shortly after that, she went to prison for a couple of months or some time.
4 months.
And in that time, she actually made a commitment to Christ. And she came out of there. She came out there a different woman. So we consider her a product of this ministry. And we got a lot of them out there. But she's probably, when I tell my story about Beautiful Feet, I normally tell my story about her. And she's got a little piece of paper you ought to take a look at. It was a picture of her before she got saved and one after she got saved.
And every time I would come in, they would always want to hug me and say, "I'm praying for you, I'm praying for you." And Dale Dawson, I knew these people were praying for me, and they were all I had.
She likes to share the word.
So it was their prayers
is
what set me free. It's what got me to where I am today.
One of the things she does bigger than all of
somebody
that
was praying for me.
She went through Teen Challenge.
What kind of relationship do you have with Jesus Christ?
I have a wonderful relationship with him. He is more than just. He's everything to me. He's my father. He's my friend. He's my supplier. He's everything. He's alive in me, and I know he's alive in me, and he provides for me more than any man could ever possibly provide for me. He's taken so much hurt out of my heart, and he's carried me such a long ways, and I have a long ways to go. But he's done wonders, and I wouldn't trade him for nothing.